Hey guys, this is gonna be a good one. We're gonna be talking about empath, being an empath, and the difference between being a codependent empath and the transformation from codependent empath to a secured / healed / empowered empath. However you want to say it, it's all the same thing. Super empath. It's more or less a balanced empath. That doesn't have toxic empathy. In other words, being treated like a doormat, having certain blinders on towards people and their darkness, right? And your part in that, right? So I really want to run home. What's the phrase? I really want to like talk about whatever, for lack of a term, the significance and the chasm and the spectrum of going from a codependent empath. You might be watching this video because we all have, there's no such thing as a perfect childhood, but if you are codependent, there's a good chance there was some narcissistic abuse and just toxic emotions, neglect, a lot of gaslighting, a lot of just like manipulation in your childhood. It's a way to keep you stuck and more or less in if you're a man, it keeps you as a boy, really, because if you're codependent, the main thing about it is, let's see if I can go here. The main contributing factor, not the main contributing factor, but like for me, the overarching thing is like a lack of being alone. You're, to the extent that you're abused. Often, you're watching this video, there's someone, there's a lot of the time there's a really bad relationship, which is, I'll say God, whatever, the universe, whatever, is just like, it's putting you in a different direction, and it can be very, it can be the most beautiful thing, like that. It really is amazing how pain is the best teacher, and that's kind of, hopefully the logical conclusion of a codependent empath. It's never too late, but the inevitable conclusion is hopefully an awakening. Usually from a relationship ending. A relationship with a really bad narcissist. Hopefully not a psychopath. And if it was a psychopath, my heart goes out to you. Like that is absolutely brutal. But again, the harder the fall, the bigger the come up, and the harder the lesson sticks. So yeah, if you're watching this video, you're either getting out of a narcissistic relationship, you have parents that you've got no contact with. You're just trying to do the work. I've been there. That's the big reason I'm doing these videos. And green light. Just to spread awareness. I think these videos are healing. They're shedding light from all different perspectives on this darkness that seems to have been winning, from my perspective, for quite some time now. From my perspective, obviously, I have my own experience and time frame of how I look, where I was awakened and where what time frame I could see the forest for the trees and blah blah. But again, if you're watching this video, it's very possible you had somebody quite toxic, someone quite toxic in your life, and now the way the culture is, it's giving women, and I don't care what anyone says, there's nothing misogynist about this, there's nothing bad about this, there's never, this is another thing, guys, there's nothing wrong with the truth. Anybody who tells you that just gaslights you, I can go a whole tangent about it, but I'll just finish the point. Is now with this culture, women are not meant to lead. We are bigger and like built a way that is Again, what? It's silly in this day and age. You got to preface anything or qualify anything with it was just a joke, or I'm not saying all. There's exceptions. Again, exceptions don't disprove the rule. So now you have, it's in women's nature to, maintain the reputation above all else. And our tribal times, it's like you would die when that would happen. And now we have a society that, treats women like men, and pretends that's empowerment. It can really, destroy a man's life in a way that I don't think has ever existed in culture. I have met a lot of women recently that are single, and I come to find out that they are actually widowed, and it's amazing. It's to this level. Like, we're 4 times the rate than women, and I'm telling you, 3 in a row, all above 40. They all have, all but one happen to be poly, and they're widowed. All 3 are widowed, and all 3, I don't know for a fact about this, but I know all 3 are dead. They're from their words. They said they're widowed. Yeah, so widowed. And it's amazing that even in that moment, it's they'll play the victim, not take accountability. It's amazing how how as men and women we're just different in different ways, and to not acknowledge this hurts everybody. I think so. Getting back on task, be careful out there. And if you are hanging on, I've been there where it's like, I think about that, and you can use anything. Don't let anyone tell you you're toxic. Anything you need to use in this world as fuel to survive as a man, use it. If it's spite that's keeping you alive, knowing that they're going to use you as supply and be the martyr at your funeral, which is always the case, use that. That is nature, and I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying that, there's a lot of greedy shit in our culture right now, and I'm guilty of it. There's a lot of greed, and you have something you want more. It's easy to do now. It's very easy to do now, more than it ever has been, and it's dangerous. So getting back on track, codependency. Yeah, you are going to be a mark. I kind of put codependence, scapegoats kind of the same category. You're treated like a doormat. There's narcissists in your upbringing, and then you're just kind of whoever's the weakest, i.e. in that situation is the most empathetic, typically, can be just dumped on, and then learn to do without, and that becomes a thing. And it's like, damn, it's like you become a target for abuse, potentially. Yeah, so I hope I'm catching you before the security happens. But I know often people that are watching these videos, if you're like me, you had some falling out happen, you had a blow up, there's a lot of pain, and now you're picking up the pieces, and it's unfortunate. But you often don't know there's a problem until there's a problem. That ignorance, can be bliss for a while until everything falls apart. So sorry all that happened to you. I'm sorry that you met that person. The gaslighting, depending on the degree of how narcissistic, where they lie on the spectrum of narcissism to straight up psychopathy. I mean, you could be dealing with some absolute hellish behavior, and man, yeah. Woo! You're not crazy. You're not the narcissist. you're watching this video, you're not the freaking narcissist. 99% of the time, everyone has traits. When you know, I was watching a video the other day, you see like a little thing, this is this, and then they'll do this. I'm like, oh wait, that's what I do. And then we have to have some narcissism to get up in the morning. We have to. And you're on this video, unless you're one of the psychos trying to game the system, which is possible. There's, you know, psychos are always try to be one step ahead, right? Fuck you, psycho, if that's you. Fuck you. But yeah, I think it's one of the most beautiful things, I mean, that I can think of right now. It's like there needs to be more movies about, you know, like Rocky, but with emotional and psychological abuse. I mean, maybe it doesn't come off, it just doesn't translate. I don't know. It's like there's so much more nuance. I'm sure there's plenty. I don't know. You don't think about them the same way, you know, inspirational, because I guess it's harder to, but god damn, like, it is absolutely beautiful to survive and wake up to a new world where, again, you're gonna be able to be alone with yourself eventually. You're going to be able to finally detect and see people who they really are, people as they really are, and not attract the fun, crazy, you know, the familiar, right? And, you know, if you're in that spot right now, you're not sure, you know, where to go, what the path is. I would recommend to just, I mean, depending on where you're at, but you know, if you're still in that, you know, hypervigilance and that confusion state, I promise you, you are in this video for a reason. You're watching this video for a reason, and it's gonna get better. I mean, it's taken me 2 years. I'm on 2 years and I'm still getting destroyed. And if anyone from my town finds this fucking video, fuck you, you know, whatever. Fucking getting banned. I mean, but I know who I am, and I realize people know, especially nowadays, they know that you know, and there's a lot of weakness and a lot of envy, and it's really hard, you know, because you're gonna be in solitude, you're gonna be isolated, you know, depending on how bad this person was. They're gonna want to isolate you because, you know, especially a woman that's a psycho, she's gonna want to you know, maintain her reputation at all costs. And not only that, if she's a psycho, she can't exist without her supply. I mean, she's effectively dead without you know, protecting that ego and that false sense of self. So just know that you're not the bad person. You're not the bad guy. You know, and it gets better. So yeah, codependency and narcissistic abuse, they go hand in hand, and it's brutal. But yeah, the empath, the codependent empath is just a sponge for pain. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to say, but codependent, like extreme empathy. I mean, you could be a super empath and codependent, like that highest level of empathy, and that's sick. It's so bad. And yeah, I've been contemplating for over a year now of just like, you know, telling my story and saying exactly what it is now that I know I could see the forest through the trees after discarding my entire not discarding, but going no contact with my entire family. You know, it's very clear to me what happened, and I'm still getting punished, and a part of me is like, I gotta stand up for myself. But it's like, with psychopaths, you can't actually, they'll use everything they can use against you, and they're minions, and they're, you know, it's really like minions. It's like they're like the devil, and there's like these like little, like a picture Wizard of Oz like around them, like flying monkeys. Like they can use, you know, they have this ammunition, and that's what they wanted. They want you to be weak and lose all of your support, you know. So hopefully that text message didn't come through. I'll have to check that later. But I mean, that arguably is the most brave thing, if you're all alone and you still stand up for yourself. But it's like, life's not a movie, you know. So sometimes it's you know, if you're like me and you're living in hell, and you know, as a kid, it's like you kind of create this like delusion of you know, of doing something good and getting a good result, or doing something difficult, or doing the right thing. And it's like, yeah, the world ain't a movie. And that's kind of that's a good way to end this video. The world isn't a movie, so don't be codependent and have self-care. You have to have self-care, and protect yourself, because nobody is gonna know, and nobody kind of cares. You know, people are selfish ultimately, and people, especially nowadays, take the path of least resistance. That's what I've learned, big time. So, you know, Wizard of Oz may just be a movie, but there are flying monkeys that, you know, all over society now with the social media. And yeah, pick your battles. That's what I would suggest. And that's a little bit of a projection. I might be talking to myself on that one. Never knew how to do that. Would often pick every battle, but not for myself. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird being codependent. But number one is getting your bearings and find out who you really are and what really happened to you. And it gets better with time. You're going to be an absolute... This video is dedicated to Jeff. If you ever come across this video, that was almost too inspiring. When I met a guy that is very similar story to mine, and he's neck deep in it right now, and I know he's gonna be galvanized into just the strongest, smartest, powerful guy once he gets through this. I know his pain, and this video goes out to Jeff. If you ever come across this, Jeff, Sebring Jeff. Yeah, you got to protect yourself and set healthy boundaries. Know who you are, have a moral compass. Doesn't matter how hot she is, doesn't matter, you know, how much they push your buttons to, you know, wear you down, to make your boundaries, you know, more transparent, or you know, weaken your boundaries. Once that starts happening, you know, I think all women do that to a degree, but you know, it's once it gets to a certain point, as a man, you have to just leave. You just have to be like, I'm done. Like, that is the move for every in almost every situation. If you love her, you leave, and if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If she's abusing you and she's trying to destroy you, she's got to leave anyway. It's time to go. Don't try. It's done. And that's that. So that's what I would recommend. But anyway, trying to think of motto. Oh, let's think of a motto right here. Masculinity in men is great in 2025. I gotta think of something about masculinity, but that might... What's a good motto? Anyway, I'll just say I love you and goodbye, guys. Stay strong, all right? Love you.